Hello, and welcome to this series of videos in which we will show you how to create custom pages and controls for your Essence portal using ASP.NET and C#. Okay, in this video we will show you how to create data. Now, you might say, hey, we can do that from the portal as well, because you have the create button here, and you can create the organization, in this case, from this screen. But we're going to do an example where we put it right in the page here. So let's do some basic ASP.NET here. So let's create a table. This table will have a row, and on this row we are going to put the name, and let's put an input field here. So we use the ASP text box. Let's call it TB name, and the runnet should be server, so it is available in the code behind of this page. Next, we will do a row, and that row is for city. And again, we are going to put in an ASP text box here. ASP text box. Let's call this one TB city. And again, runnet is server to have it available in code behind. And we are going to add a third row finally, and this row is for the ASP button we are going to add, and this button we will call button create. Also, runnet is server, and we are going to hook up an event here on click, and ASP in Visual Studio, it will suggest a function here. The text will be create, by the way, and the function will be button create click. Here in code behind, that function is added by Visual Studio. Let's clean it up a little bit to keep it readable and understandable here. So let's put this in a region with the events. And up here, we are going to put another region with the functions. Again, this is all to your own liking and to your own coding standards. So we're going to have a function here. And let's call this one create organization. And create organization will have some parameters as input, and we will have a string for the organization name, and we will have another string for the organization city. Okay, that's where the magic stuff will be added later on, but let's have a look at how this shows up in the page. So let's refresh that page, and it might take a second to build because we did some changes in the code. And here you see name, city, and a button to create. That button, of course, is not working right now. So let's go back to the code. And here in the event button create click, we will call for create organization. And here we go with the TB name dot text, and we will supply TB city dot text. Of course, the semicolon in the end, and we're done here. And now we're going to do a basic validation here. I'm going to test if there is some text in the organization name and some text in the organization city. So I'm going to test if the length of those strings are greater than 0. If not, we're not going to do anything, and of course you could do some error handling there. Oh, Okay, that looks a little bit better. So, and let's see. We have an example here, and you can find the example also on our website. And this is where the magic happens. And let's copy bit by bit and let me explain a little bit to you. First, you need to initialize the business controller you want to work with. And of course, this is an example, so it has an opportunity controller here, and that's not what we are going to use because we are going to use organization here. There is some error, and that is because we have to include using silver.business controllers here. The business controller, let's change that to organization controller instead of opportunity controller, and it refers to organization here. The business controller is the same as you use in the portal itself. And there are some other parameters here that can be supplied, but the only thing you need to know right now is you give it a name which is recognizable, and the controller should be the controller you want to use. So in this case, that is the organization. And if you go to the portal up here, you can see the name of the controller is here in the URL of this page as well. So that's what you need to use here. This will initialize the business controller and you have access to the data read-write components. Next, we are going to paste here is a basic fetch. What this does, it will fetch an empty object here, but it will also generate the defaults. So in the case of the organization, we have a created and a modified date that are automatically supplied upon creating an organization. And this line, the fetch, will take care of those defaults. They are also available and you could place them into the form as well. Next, we are going to supply some values for the organization. And again, this is the better copy paste section. We are going to use not the opportunity controller, but our organization controller, and the property we are going to supply, that would be name. And you can find the name here, or you can find that in the configurator. So let's change this to name, and the value should be organization name. Copy the same line, and the property for city should have the value from organization city here. So that's assigning values to the properties. Created and modified are already handled by that fetch. Okay, now then the last but not least, we need to create the data, and that is done using the organization controller create here, and that looks like this, and this will create the organization here. And after that we have, let's see, that should be, no, that shouldn't be UID, this can be a string. We can have the organization ID, the ID of the newly created organization. we can already catch that here, and we could use that to redirect to another page or show what is created on the page. We could create a hyperlink or whatever using the values of the created organization. So that's basically it. Initialize the business controller, do a fetch to get the defaults, set the property values, and do the create. That's basically it. Okay, let's go to our test page here again. Let's refresh the page. No, we're not going to use that. So let's start with a fresh page here. Okay. Now we can enter a name. We can enter a city and click create. That's it. And if we go here and let's search, and there you are. There is the record that you just created using the code from our own page. So in 4 steps, just initialize the business controller, do a fetch for the defaults, set the property values, and after that you can do the business controller.create. And after that, all the values are available in your page.